Joe Budden, also known as the Podfather, has unfurled a veritable odyssey of fiscal foresight that leaves one agog in admiration in his decision to shun sponsors and ads on his podcast. Joe had some interesting and exuberant reasons for this. Let's listen to Joe's interstellar genius and artful orchestration of podcast monetization.
Talking about advertising, we're talking about a culture that is attached to advertising, right? So, how do I say this?
I'm sure that's somewhat predatory.
When you learn, it is. But when you learn the value of your podcast and your stream, then, I mean, you don't have to go and take this crackhead shit. You realize you can go get one Samsung or one Cadillac, or you need to meet one of these major companies that understand what you're doing and what you can offer. The Pusha T Arby's marriage.
Right.
You don't need to be a hoe for all of America.
Facts.
Because that's not by our design. That's by their design. Back to this advertising culture. That's what I was trying to say. Today, to get in some of these conversations that we're talking about, you relinquish control. You can still own your product, but you will relinquish control of what happens to that fucking IP. So they could just litter your shit with whatever they want.
Yep.
For however long they want or however short they want. And if it's not bringing back what they think it should bring back,
it's a dub.
Then what does your product look like when they're finished with you after they've fucking ruined your broadcast for the last 2 to 3 to 4 years?
Yep.
Now we turning on the fucking streaming farms and ghost bots and all of that shit. Now it's important. Can you move your audience?
Yep.
That makes sense.
No, it's about.
And the answer to most of that is no.
Ladies and gentlemen of the articulate and erudite congregation, I beseech your intellectual faculties to gather round as we venture into the multifarious depths of discourse concerning the sage-like musings of Joe Budden, a bard of our times who hath embarked upon a path less trodden. In a realm dominated by the cacophonous din of advertisements and sponsorships, Budden, like a modern-day Diogenes, had chosen to eschew the silence call and keep his podcast untainted by the treacherous tendrils of commerce. Verily, the concerns he espouses are not to be trifled with, for the advertising culture hath woven a labyrinthine web, ensnaring the very essence of intellectual property. Creators, in their pursuit of golden coins, are oft forced to prostrate their creative sovereignty at the altar of corporate interest. The perilous pact with advertisers could transmute their opus into a Frankenstein's monster, marred by alterations to appease the capricious appetites of commerce. Yea, even more ominous is the spectre of revenue unattained, wherein the creator's masterpiece doth suffer a slow, agonizing demise. The siren sweet song of sponsorship can entice creators with promises of opulence, only to lead them astray, for the coffers might not brim as expected, and the creative vessel may falter, like a ship lost in a tempestuous sea. With sagacious insight, Budden's stance finds roots in the fertile soil of ownership and dominion. The sovereignty over one's creation, like a precious gem, must not be bartered away heedlessly. To relinquish control is akin to entrusting the sacred keys to one's kingdom into the hands of marauders who care not for the purity of artistry. Yet, as we delve into this labyrinth of intellectual acumen, we must not ignore the thorny path that Budden treads. Monetization, that elusive chimera, doth rear its head, demanding to be reckoned with. The dichotomy betwixt artistic purity and fiscal stability is a Gordian knot, perplexing and beguiling in equal measure. And lo, let us not forget the nexus of connectivity that Budden so adroitly underscores. To forge an unbreakable bond with one's audience, to become an arbiter of thoughts and emotions, is a currency surpassing the material riches that sponsorships bestow. In this tumultuous era, where authenticity is oft trampled upon, Budden's resolve is a clarion call to remain true to oneself. Picture, if you will, the cosmic dance of creativity and commerce, intermingling like the capricious tango of celestial bodies. Budden, that celestial maestro, hath harnessed the potent energies of the Patreon constellation, weaving a tapestry where patronage melds with podcastry. This transcendent symbiosis blesses both creator and connoisseur, as the former begets exclusive content while the latter revels in the status of patronage, akin to a medici of modern media. Verily, it is akin to a mellifluous symphony conducted by Prospero himself, where creators cast not their art into the ravenous maw of advertisers, but instead, nurture it through the affections of their loyal audience. This alchemical metamorphosis transmutes casual listeners into ardent supporters, and supporters into connoisseurs of content, fostering a sense of belonging that transcends the mundane. As we traverse the kaleidoscopic dimensions of this narrative, we must acknowledge the deft maneuvering of Budden in this cosmic choreography. He hath sauntered past the pitfalls of surrendering intellectual sovereignty to advertisers, for the strings of patronage do not entwine his creativity in a puppeteer's embrace. His podcast remains a sovereign realm where artistic integrity reigns supreme, even as the coffers of patronage swell. But do not be misled, for the ethereal dance of fiscal feasibility has its complications. The dichotomy of subscription-based sustenance presents its own riddles and enigmas. The endeavor to convince patrons to partake in this celestial waltz requires not just charisma, but a relentless commitment to curating content that evokes both admiration and adoration. Furthermore, let us raise a glass to the multi-perspective mastery of Budden, who recognizes that this cosmic ballet demands more than mere performance. The interplay of creator, creation, and consumer births an ecosystem that thrives on connectivity, an intricate interlinking of neural synapses that elevates mere podcasting to an artful ballet of reciprocity. In the final of this intoxicating tale, we salute the brilliance of Budden's stratagem. His utilization of Patreon subscription stands as a beacon of innovation in the nebulous seas of podcast monetization. He has forged an arc that sails amidst the stars, inviting enthusiasts to board and become partakers in a celestial camaraderie, all while securing his dominion over creativity. In summation, as we stagger through the intricate vineyards of Budden's ruminations, we are reminded of the perils and pleasures, the quandaries and quests that await the modern creator. Let us toast to his defiance against the sirens of advertising, his championing of intellectual dominion, and his unwavering commitment to the tapestry of human connection. In the grand tapestry of creative pursuits, let Budden's stance stand as a beacon, guiding us through the tempestuous seas of commerce and artistry alike.